What's going on, guys? PlotArmorCards in the house, and today I'm coming to you with my updated shark deck once again. That's right, ever since that new set just came out, there's been some interesting shark support, so it's definitely something that's worth checking out. And so I made some changes, and I think it works really well. So without further ado, let's get started, guys. And of course, if you like what you see, don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe. And now let's get into it. So first of all, you should play Buzzsaw Shark. I played 3 copies of Buzzsaw Shark. This card is really good because it lets you target a water monster you control and special summon from your deck in defense position a fish monster with the same level as that monster but with a different name. So it just helps you search for essentially any of your fish monsters in this deck. However, they cannot use their effects this turn. Also, you can't special summon from the extra deck except XYZ monsters. But that doesn't really matter for us in this situation. Alright, so moving on. I like to run a playset of Lantern Shark as well. Lantern Shark is honestly a great card for this deck. If this card is normal or special summon, you can activate this effect. Special summon 1 level 3, 4, or 5 water monster from your hand in defense position except Lantern Sharks. It's a great card. You can also use it to special summon this and then go into this to then search and pop up other combos. But it also works really well with the new cards like Abyss Shark and Crystal Shark. Those cards are level 5, so it's very easy to get them out with their own effects, but also with this effect as well. Next, I like to run. So this card is going to be. Think of this as a placeholder, guys. I actually ordered these cards a couple days back, so they should be coming in soon. But 3 copies of Beautiful Princess. It finally got to me. I used to think that these are really bad and were just Ash Blossom targets, but now I've been running it online a lot, and I think Beautiful Princess works really well. So think of these as placeholders while it comes in. I didn't want to wait that long until the Beautiful Princess actually came in. One, because then I would have nothing to talk about today, and secondly, this deck is really exciting. I'm honestly really excited about it, and I want to talk about it. So 3 Beautiful Princesses, guys. Definitely, I believe you guys should check out. Next, I like to run 3 of the brand new Abyss Shark. Now, Abyss Shark is a really good card. It allows you to do a lot. So if this card is used for the XC7 of a number monster, it can be treated as a level 3 or 4 monster. So level manipulation works great. Then if all monsters you control are water monsters, a minimum 1, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if you do, you can add 1 level 3, 4, or 5 fish monster from your deck to your hand, except Abyss Shark. That's insane. The ability to special summon itself, and then on top of that, the ability to just add 1 to your hand, that does wonders for this deck. Next, I like to run 1 copy of Crystal Shark. Now, you can run this at 2, but I think personally, just with the hand traps and whatnot, I think 1 works best. If this card is used for the XC7 and Room monster, it can be treated as a 3 or 4. So again, more level manipulation. It's just, both of these new cards are very flexible, in my opinion. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can target a water monster in the field, special summon this card, but banish him when it leaves the field, and if you do, half that monster's attack. So that's really good because it gives you some graveyard recyclability, which I think was probably the big thing this deck was originally missing. I guess you can, Right Hand Shark gives you that as well, but this is a lot more flexible than Right Hand Shark. So next, I like to run 3 copies of Silent Sea Nettle. Now, Silent Sea Nettle is really good because if you control a water monster, you can special summon this from your hand. It's a free special summon, and that's pretty good. And then on top of that, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target up to 3 water monsters in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck. So it works really well. Lets you shuffle and recycle your cards. Next, I like to run 2 copies of XYZ Remora. Maybe I'm thinking of shifting this to 3, but the only problem I have is it has potential to clash with some XYZ monster effects. Its effect, though, is you can special summon this card by detaching 2 XYZ materials from monsters you control, and then if you do, you can target 2 level 4 fish-type monsters in your graveyard, special summon those targets. This is an insane combo extender. It's just, so if I have any of my XYZ monsters out, let's say Bahamut Shark, detach 2 materials, special summon this, and then special summon the 2 materials I just detached, and then I can go into another XYZ monster. I just think that's super dope. Next, I like to run a playset of Silent Angler. I think this is a must-have in this, just because it's very flexible, plus it's searchable now. So it's really good. Not just with, I know in the past you could search it with White Mirror technically, but now it's searchable more ways than one. And you can special summon it from the hand, but you got to be careful because if you do that, you can't special summon monsters from your hand for the rest of the turn. So this is probably the last thing you want to special summon from your hand. Moving forward, I like to run 2 copies of Chenyi Spirit Shahana. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Basically, if you control no effect monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. It's a great card if you're going second or if you're going first, honestly. The one thing that's down is it's kind of dead in your hand. You can't special summon it if you don't have any effect monsters. So that's why I run it at 2. I used to run it at 3, but 2 I think has been working pretty decently for me. Next, I like to run a single copy of Lifeless Leaffish. This card is summoned. You can send a fish monster from your deck to the graveyard, except Lifeless Leaffish. So it's like a Foolish Burial, essentially. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 3 fish monsters in your graveyard, shuffle those monsters into the deck, then draw 1 card. So again, this itself is a Foolish Burial target, honestly, because it gives you an extra draw, plus it lets you shuffle your monsters into your deck. So that's pretty good. And then I like to run 1 copy of Barrier Statue of the Torrent. This is just honestly just to lock out my opponent. I haven't seen too many builds that run this, at least too many of the modern builds that people have been posting these days. I can't ignore how good it is to lock out your opponent in general, you know? So I just think this is a great card and definitely would be worth trying out 1. Next, I like to run playset of Ash Blossom. Of course, you're going to be running a playset of Ash Blossom. This is self-explanatory. This is just probably the best hand trap there is right now, in my opinion. And so moving on, we're going to be looking at the spell cards. So for the spell cards, you're going to be running a playset of White Mirror. White Mirror is a super dope card because you can target 1 level 4 lower fish monster in your graveyard, special summon, then you can add 1 monster from your deck to your hand with the same original name as that monster. So there's a lot of different cards in this deck you can go with, but some of my favorite combos are you can bring back your Silent Angler and then add another Silent Angler to your hand, which lets you special summon it right away, right? You can also do similar things with couple other cards in this deck. Not to say that you can special summon them right away, but it has to be level 4 or lower, so you can't bring any of the level 5 monsters out, but you can get away with a lot of different combos and a lot of different cool things to do. Next, I like to run a copy of Instant Fusion. This is pretty self-explanatory. You need a way to bring out Rare Fish just because Rare Fish is just a free level 4, so it gets you into rank 4. It's kind of easy. Next, I like to run a copy of Foolish Burial. This works pretty decently in this deck as well. Usually, I like to dump Lifeless Leaffish, or if I have something like a White Mirror in my hand, Foolish Burial also helps just to pop off other combos. It's just a decent card overall. Sometimes Silent Sea Nail would be a decent target as well. 1 for 1, this is going to be for your Beautiful Princesses. When they eventually come in for me, I will be using that. And then on to the trap card. So, of course, you're going to need a playset of Goes in Match. Now, Goes in Match makes it so everyone can only control 1 attribute of monster. You only have 1 attribute in this entire archetype other than the Ash Blossoms, which you're not going to summon. So you have you're only going to have water, and most of the time this can really screw over and lock down your opponent. So you do have potential to just lock your opponent down in this deck, combined with where'd it go? But the Barrier Statue. And then lastly, for the trap cards, Infinite Impermanence. I think this card is super dope. You can switch this for Ghost Stroker or whatever hand trap you please. I just think Effect Negation is really, really good in this deck. So that's why personally I like to run 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. And now moving on to the extra deck. So obviously you're going to have to run 2 copies of Bahamut Shark. It's pretty generic, 2 level 4 water monsters. You can make it with almost anything in this deck. Once per turn, you can detach an Xyz material from this card, special summon a rank 3 or lower water Xyz monster from your extra deck. This is a dope card because it obviously lets you go into Totally Awesome. Now, if you want to go more of the lockdown negate route, I guess you can run 3 and 3, but I think my ratio works best with 2 and 2 because it allows me flexibility to go into some other cards. So I think 2 and 2 work best for me personally. Next, I like to run 2 copies of, Stealth Sea Kraken, number 4, and then obviously 2 copies of Stealth Kraken Spawn. Now, this is really good just for destruction on the field, and this lets you go into this, and this is a pretty decent card as well. It's a great combo, trust me. I've seen people run this at 1 and 1 as well. One thing I'd recommend is F-Zero. If you have the money for F-Zero, I personally don't, but if I had the money, it would be in here 100% for sure. F-Zero is a great card. I would probably run this at 1 each if I had the F-Zero, but I will have to play around with some of the ratios if I manage to get my hands on it. Also, in most situations, there are some cards that will lock you into only special summoning water monsters, so you may not be able to do in that situation, but if you go into Bahamut Shark, you can pretty much go into F-Zero pretty easily from there. It's just something to consider. I think it is something to highly consider. So next, obviously, the Rare Fish. You're going to need that in order to pretty much for the instant fusion. The Rare Fish is a must. Next, I like to run a copy of Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller is pretty good. It just allows you to detach a material from this card. Your opponent can't activate card effects in the graveyard, so it does shut your opponent out of a lot of different things that they could possibly do. Next, I like to run a copy of number 101, Silent Honor Arc. This one's pretty decent now, especially because you have potential to reliably run things like C101, Silent Honor Dark. So I think these two together in comparison have some decent combos. Next, I like to run a copy of Nash Knight. It cannot be destroyed by battle while a number of monsters in the field, except during the main phase. During the main phase, quick effect, you can attach 2 materials. Attach a number XYZ monster from your extra deck to this card's material that has a number between 101 and 107. Then you can attach 1 other monster on the field to this card. So this card's pretty decent as well. Then I like to run a copy of XYZ as Nash Knight. So you can also XYZ summon this using a Nash Knight you control. So you bring out a Nash Knight, then you can use this effect, and then you can immediately go into this if you please, popping off further combos. And lastly, for the extra deck, of course, anytime you run XYZ monsters, you need Double A Zeus for sure. But anyways, guys, this is PlotArmorCards signing out for the day. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. And of course, any suggestions that you have for improvements of this deck, I'd love to hear them down below in the comments. And oh my goodness, look at the time.
It's time to